Man, I don't remember the last time I saw a 40-year-old look as impressive as Stephen Thompson did last night since Yoel Romero, and I don't know what he's made out of, but that was one of the best versions of Stephen Thompson that I've ever seen in my entire life. And going into this fight, I predicted Kevin Holland to finish Stephen Thompson, and man, was I wrong. I also made a tier list video on the best strikers in MMA a few weeks ago. And I said that Stephen Thompson wasn't up there with the absolute best. I said he was A tier in his prime, maybe S tier, but I take that back. Stephen Thompson, when it comes to pure striking, may just be the best striker in the UFC. And he also is in the S tier, right? Maybe not the best overall, period, but he is in the S tier. And 40 years old. I know he's technically 39, but he's about to turn 40 in February. And to just get better in the second, third, and just really continue to improve every single round, not get tired and just break and finish a guy like Kevin Holland on the feet. First of all, I have to say that Kevin Holland is a little bit overrated. And aside from that, he's also got a horrible fight IQ. I mean, the guy was on top of Stephen Thompson multiple times. He took him down and he would just let him up. And I know that he had a good chance to at least make something happen on the ground. But I guess he wanted to go in there and feed his ego by standing with Stephen Thompson to try to prove a point and say that, you know, I can knock him out too. And I thought that, you know what? He had the reach advantage. He had the power advantage. And it looked like in the first round, Kevin Holland may have just, you know, started to break down Wonderboy. He wobbled Wonderboy in the first round, hurt him. And I thought, all right, looks like my prediction might come to fruition. Second round, you know, Wonderboy starting to take over. Third round, Wonderboy starting to destroy this guy. And the fourth round, Kevin Holland had absolutely nothing for him. You know, he sits down on his stool and says, take the shit off of me. He's pointing to his glove. He's pissed off at himself. I mean, first of all, listen, you're going in to fight another guy. I understand you want to make it a show. You and Wonderboy have respect for each other. But why not just go for the win? I mean, you're going to get paid twice as much. It just seems so stupid to just let him up. And I understand the first round, fine, let him up. You know, let's make a bit of a show here. Let the guy up. It's the first round. But, you know, you're on top of him. And I think it was the second and the third round. He had a point where he was able to get on top of Wonderboy. And he just lets him pop up. It's insane to me. It's insane to me. But, man, Wonderboy Thompson, to have the speed, to have the, you know, ability, the athletic ability to just, you know, throw like 3 spinning wheel kicks, you know, at will, like, and actually have them all effectively land on a guy like Kevin Holland, who's a good striker, and to just be throwing like these wild, insanely amazing techniques, and to have all of them just be landing. I mean, we don't even see guys in the lighter weight classes doing that. Who else in the UFC is throwing these fancy, flashy kicks and actually landing them at will? He is the most flashy striker, and he's just doing it against guys that are actually dangerous on the feet. I mean, this is Kevin Holland. Like, there aren't many in the welterweight division that could stand with him. You know, he's got a long reach. He's got a power advantage. In my opinion, this fight proved that he was a little overrated. You know, and I originally, when this fight was announced, I picked Wonderboy to beat Kevin Holland. And fuck, man, I really wish that I just stuck with that, because I knew in my head, you know, Wonderboy's the better striker. But I got caught up with the age thing. I got caught up with, oh, he could just take him down. And I thought, you know, Wonderboy's only getting older. The last time he had an impressive performance was in 2020. That's like 2 years ago. I was wrong. He proved me wrong. And he looked incredible. Like, that was one of the most impressive performances I've seen in a long time. And there are some people that are saying, bro, but it just, you know, Kevin Holland broke his hand. You know, he broke his hand. If he didn't break his hand, he would have been fine. Like, listen, the reason why he broke his hand was because Wonderboy kept drilling in high kicks right into his guard, his right hand. Wonderboy said in the post-fight press conference, yeah, me and my team wanted to drill those head kicks as often as possible in the fight because we knew that he was going to have his right hand there, and we wanted to slow that thing down. We wanted to slow that right hand. We wanted to take the power away from it. Wonderboy broke his fucking hand. So unless someone takes a silly step, unless someone takes a weird fall and breaks their fucking kneecap or whatever, shatters their bones, you know, 95% of the time it's because their opponent does it for them. You know, like Yoel Romero blowing out Robert Whittaker's knee in their first fight. You know, another example would be Magomed Ankalaev destroying Anthony Smith's leg by just kicking it a bunch of times, right? You know, Alex Pereira kicking Izzy's leg and checking all of his kicks. Like, the opponent's doing the damage. His hand didn't just magically break. How did it break? It broke because it kept getting kicked. And then he would punch, and all of that, you know, time where your hand is just landing constantly, over and over and over again, getting kicked, trying to land a heavy punch, your hand's gonna break. And that's what happens when you get into a fight with Wonderboy. The guy's just kicking you from every angle. And I'm so impressed how someone who's basically 40 years old can look that good. I mean, that was one of the most impressive striking performances I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, the guy is literally throwing strikes that come straight out of a fucking karate movie. You know, this is like, you show someone a Wonderboy highlight reel, you may have to question, if you're not a big UFC fan, is this even like a real fight? Like, this can't be real. You know, this is what we see in the movies, and he's actually doing it against a guy like Kevin Holland, who's very dangerous. Insanely impressive. I think Kevin Holland made some really dumb mistakes. I think he can come back, but again, like, he's going to get ragdolled by the grapplers in that division, the Colby Covingtons, the Kamaru Usmans. You know, we saw what happened to Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, and when it comes to the strikers, I think he can beat some strikers, but not many strikers in that welterweight top 10. And Kevin Holland has never really been ranked in the top 10. And maybe in retrospect, I should have said, fuck, like, who has he actually beat that's really good on the feet? Like Joaquin Buckley, you know, Alex Oliveira. These guys aren't even ranked, you know. Tim Means. You know, these guys are not ranked. And we thought that he was just going to go in there and beat Wonderboy. Super overrated. I made a really dumb pick, so I just have to say that. What's even more impressive is that Wonderboy actually finished Kevin Holland. You know, first of all, the guy has a chin of granite, Kevin Holland. And Wonderboy's chin held up well pretty, you know, as well. But man, to finish Kevin Holland, like, who the fuck has even finished this guy on the feet? It's insane. Wonderboy is 39, almost 40, making it happen against these guys that are in their prime with a reach advantage, who's 6'3". I mean, none of that gave him any trouble, you know, the reach advantage or the fact that Kevin Holland was taller. And again, look at the rounds. Like, in the first round, Wonderboy lands 38, Kevin Holland lands 52 strikes. Second round, Wonderboy lands 40 strikes, and Kevin Holland lands 33. In the third round, I mean, I need to show you guys some of these stats. In the first round, Kevin Holland got the win in the first round, 52 strikes to Wonderboy's 38. Second round, Wonderboy got 40 strikes, and Kevin Holland had 33. Third round, Wonderboy really started to turn it up, 48 strikes to Kevin Holland's 25. And in the fourth round, where it got finished, you know, when he was on the stool, 52 strikes to 13 of Kevin Holland. Just absolutely broke him and destroyed him. It was a great stoppage. You know, if it wasn't stopped, Wonderboy would have just absolutely tore through Kevin Holland. So, who would I like to see Wonderboy fight next? I was actually watching the MMA Guru this morning, and he made a great point. Like, first of all, we know Wonderboy's not going to become a champion. He's not going to beat a guy like Colby. He's not going to beat a guy like Kamaru or Khamzat Chimaev. He's not beating any of the grapplers. I mean, Bilal Muhammad, Gilbert Burns took him down, beat him. So I don't think he should stay at welterweight. And if this is a guy that wants some fun fights, you know, and he wants to be paired up with strikers, which is I think the UFC would be silly not to do that. Because, you know, if I'm the UFC and I want to make money, I'm just going to put Wonderboy in main event slots against strikers, you know, for fireworks. That's what they should do. They need to stop fucking around, putting Wonderboy up against a, you know, hell, they tried to book him with Shavkat. Like, what are you thinking? This is a classic. The fans love these fights. These are the best kind of fights you could put on. So I think Thompson should move up. I really do. I mean, think about it. Look at all the strikers up there. You have Paulo Costa, you have Robert Whittaker, you have Sean Strickland, Jared Cannonier, Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira. I mean, goodness gracious, Wonderboy could beat some of those guys. I'd love to see him move up. I really would. I think he should move up. You know, he may look a little weird at 185. It's not the biggest welterweight in the first place, but I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to see a rematch with Robert Whittaker? And who doesn't want to see him just fight Paulo Costa? Or who doesn't want to see him fight Jared Cannonier? Strickland. I mean, these are all insanely good fights with strikers. Let's put him in there. Let's get Wonderboy, some fights at 185. If not, like, who are you going to pair him up with? What are you going to do? A Jeff Neal rematch? That doesn't make any sense. And what's next for Kevin Holland? Hell if I know. Just give him someone outside of the rankings. Like, maybe give him a Vicente Luque or something like that. But, fuck, man. Kevin Holland, I should have just remembered, like, this guy got big based on his activity, based on the way that he's, talking in the cage. And to pick him against Stephen Thompson, who looked phenomenal against Jeff Neal, I acted like that fight was 20 years ago. It was like a little under 2 years ago. And I put too much stake into his age. But again, this guy's defying age. He's like the Yoel Romero, the white Yoel Romero, like, the striking version of Yoel Romero. Not, it's insane. So, yeah, man. I mean, impressive. It impressed me. Now I also want to go over some other fights. RDA called out Conor McGregor after beating Brian Barberena. I picked him to win. I picked him to win by decision. He got a submission. RDA is just one of these veterans that, is just so good. He's always going to be at the upper echelon. He's always going to be a guy who can get ranked in the lightweight division or the welterweight division. Just a really solid skill set, well-rounded. Maybe not the best striker, but hell, he took rounds off of Fiziev, right? Taking rounds off of Fiziev at 35 when you have the most time in the octagon ever. He surpassed Frankie Edgar for having the most octagon time ever. Man, that is incredibly impressive. Who do I want to see him fight next? Honestly, I don't really know, man. I don't know. I'd like to see him fight anyone, to be honest. But I don't know. Like, who are you going to put him up there against? Shavkat? We'll see. Mateus Nicolau, amazing win over Matt Schnell. And then let's get to this other fight that I predicted. Tai Tuivasa, Sergei Pavlovich. I said it from the start. Tai Tuivasa should have never been fighting Sergei Pavlovich. I predicted Pavlovich to knock him out in the first round, and that's exactly what Pavlovich did. KO'd him in, 45 seconds? 54 seconds, it says. What was Tai Tuivasa thinking? I mean, to get absolutely destroyed like he did against Cyril Gane, and I'm tired of hearing people say, dude, it was a close fight, back and forth. Tai almost finished him. Like, he didn't really almost finish him. He knocked him down and he got right back up. All right? And that was his only moment. Tai Tuivasa had a 10-second moment out of 15 minutes, right? Basically, because that was stopped in the later half of the third round. I mean, come on, guys. Sergei Pavlovich, 4 KOs in a row going into this. That's his 5th KO in a row. I mean, I think Sergei Pavlovich I think he beats Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes is a little bit chinny, right? He's been knocked out a couple times before by Derek Lewis, by Francis twice. Sergei Pavlovich, I mean, fuck, this guy might be able to beat Tom Aspinall. If Tom Aspinall goes in there trying to strike with him, like, who can strike with this guy? Cyril Gane? Maybe. Cyril Gane might be able to strike with him. I think he's incredibly skilled, but he doesn't have that power. And this is not a Derek Lewis, some guy who's just banking on their power only. No, he's a good boxer, and he has an insanely good reach, and he knows how to use it. There's something really dangerous about a heavyweight boxer with good boxing skills who happens to have KO power, 1 minute finishing KO power, who also has an incredibly long reach and knows how to keep that distance and use it. I mean, that would be a phenomenal fight. So I'd like to see Sergei Pavlovich versus Cyril Gane. That would be an incredible fight. I don't even know who wins that one. I know Cyril Gane is a better striker than him technically, but man, power, who's the more dangerous striker? I want to know that. And Francis Ngannou, like, who the fuck would win that? I mean, Francis has a hell of a chin. And if he just hits Sergei Pavlovich once, I think he might win, but they have the same reach. They have exactly the same reach, so who knows, man. I'd love to see that as well. Sergei Pavlovich, get him in there with anyone. I like, put him up against a striker, man. Let's see him up against a striker. But, man, I think this guy's dangerous, and he could be a champion one day. He's incredibly dangerous. Jack Hermansson, disappointing performance against Roman Dolidze. Jack Hermansson is just, what can I say? I never thought Jack Hermansson would be anything special at middleweight. I don't think he ever will be a guy that'll be champion. Had Roman Dolidze down in the first round, wasn't able to do anything, and then just got destroyed in the second round on the ground. So, good win for Roman Dolidze. I don't know who I want to see him fight next. I'm still not convinced that he's all that good. He's good on the ground, but striking-wise, I think he would get beat up by some of these top guys. So, yeah, until next time, guys, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe.
Every day is beef liver day. As you know, beef liver is nature's multivitamin. It's one of the healthiest, most vitamin-rich foods on the planet. Quality is incredibly important. You want to be eating animals that are truly raised on pastures, in wide open fields, eating grass, right? This is health. Now, not everyone can get beef liver, quality grass-fed beef liver, from beautiful grass-fed cows like the one that's standing behind me. That being said, that's no excuse to forego the benefits that you could get from eating grass-fed beef liver. Heart and Soil Supplements sells good quality grass-fed, pasture-raised beef liver year-round, and you guys can get 10% off if you click the link in my bio. Get yourself some grass-fed beef liver today.